Hey, Mama.
Hey, Amira, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. I am good. I'm excited about this episode. We got such great feedback from our menopause Q&A,
Me too.
and our Q&A episodes for the podcast. And I
Mhm.
think you got some fan email, it looks like.
We had a lot of great feedback. So everyone was super nice emailing me and very gentle. So not overly blowing up my email, which is nice, which I was nervous about. But everyone was super great and a lot of, positive feedback. And we got a lot of great questions that we're going to talk about today. But I know,
Yeah, we have so many questions. Hair loss, heart
hmm
palpitations,
yeah,
and bioidentical hormones. So we're going to get into
always.
your questions that you've submitted, but I want to share with you that as the time we're recording this podcast, this is right before Christmas, and I was searching through my boxes in the my basement and looking for a special Christmas ornament and photos, and I came across my mother's uh, a folder of my mother that had her passport from when she was born, her marriage certificate, her death certificate, and um, letters from her doctor. So my dad had saved these apparently. And I didn't know. I was a resident at Emory in 1995 to 1999, and my mom passed away in November of 1997. And I was, full blown resident at Emory University, one of the best universities in the world. And my mother was in Pennsylvania, and her heart surgeon, who had operated on her at age 52 when I was just 16 years old, was scheduled to operate on her again for an aortic valve replacement. And in this letter that I received from her primary care physician, and her cardiology consultation from Dolestown, Pennsylvania, it was quite enlightening. You've probably heard me speak before, and if not, I definitely share that my motivation, my why, is watching my mother struggle and recognizing if I knew then what I know now, I can guarantee you she would have seen her grandchildren and even her great grandchildren. And so it hurts so much when I see all the things that we could have done. You never got to meet your grandma.
Mm-mm.
And she was a blessing. She would have loved you, all you girls. And oh my gosh, Andalisa, she would have been baking with her in the kitchen.
Eating her
And
up.
yes, yeah. But you are so much like my mother in so many ways.
Yeah.
So I want to read a little bit of this consultation because one of the things that I said is, that my mother was on, and I thought it was 7 to 9, maybe 11 medications at the time of her death, and no two medications have been studied together in a person, let alone a postmenopausal woman. So I think it's important to look at this information and to see. But one of the things is that in this consultation by a cardiologist, he says, Claire was seen by me on June 10, 1997, and brought back on June 13th. She developed what appeared to be amiodarone lung toxicity that's improved with oxygen therapy, withdrawal of the amiodarone and epigen to support her chronic anemia. She relates that recent CT scan of the thorax was improved and hemoglobin is approximately 11, which is suboptimal. And she has no less dyspnea, which is shortness of breath, no heart discomfort, and overall, she's stable. She goes, I reviewed this. She said, I feel like she's not a candidate for ablation or aortic valve replacement at this time. And I reviewed with Claire and her husband. So my mom's name was Claire. With Claire and her husband, she was named after St. Clair. And she said I did not change her medications of Propulsid, insulin, Norvasc, Trilofan, Zeroxolin, Lasix, Synthroid, Oxygen, Zestrel, Pamelor, Epigen, Iron, Prilosec, Atrovent. What's that?
14 medications.
14 medications. No two studied together. No
Mm-mm.
two studied together. And her symptoms of lung toxicity were a result of the medication. One of the medication we know, the amiodarone. which was not listed here, which they took her off of. And I mean, this just breaks my heart. This just breaks my heart. If I knew then what I know now,
Yeah.
but so much polypharma is disease producing. Polypharma is disease producing, and it can be prevented. It can be
Yeah.
prevented. And so when there's controversy over bioidentical hormones, good for us, not good for us, when there's that question, it's like, well, what are we really promoting here? What farm are we promoting? Who are we working for? Are we working for the patient? Are we not? Now, there's so much to this, Amira. It just has
Yeah.
taken me down this, uh, hypervigilance, this crusade, if you may, on how to get this information out to the public, because I see patients when with incredible resources that are on polypharma, or
Hmm.
that are afraid to do or worried about supplements or
Hmm.
natural, or aren't being coached on a good night's sleep
Yeah.
and real true science-based nutrition and lifestyle changes. That the most important thing is what we can do ourselves. And the most important things we do are the free things, right? And
Yeah.
then the 10% is nutraceuticals and bioidentical hormones. And when we
Hmm.
talk bioidentical hormones, there's no age limit. Okay, so if we wouldn't limit you on your thyroid medication based on your age, we wouldn't limit you. And thyroid medication that we use, for example, T4 and T3, Synthroid and Cytomel, or compounded formulas, are bioidentical. And that's what we prefer to use because nothing else works. And insulin, bioidentical. Would we discriminate against you on use of insulin for your age? No, no. And it just really, and the same is true with hormones, like bioidentical hormones in physiologic ways with the right lifestyle
Hmm.
and nutrition base. And I mean,
Yeah.
that makes all the difference in the world. I wouldn't deny anyone. My mom wasn't even offered any of that, but what she was offered is 14, so 15 medications, a 15, and all of these creating side effects. We call those iatrogenic illnesses.
Hmm.
These are problems caused by the medicines we're taking. Now, beyond these medications, she was given the American Diabetic Association diet, the ADA diet in 1980s. I mean, you're going to have to look that up on your phone or your computer to see what that was back then. But I remember her eating lots of fruit, and muffins she could eat. And and she was a baker. So it was really like she said, God gave me this curse, of being a diabetic because I love sweets, right? And we grew up with food like baklava or baklawa, and amazing, delicious desserts and
Hmm.
cakes, trifle cake, black forest cake. I mean, just incredible. A meal had not been eaten until you had dessert in my house, whether it was a homemade cookie or
Right.
something, or a
Coffee.
slice of cake or an Arabic dessert. It was always part of our lifestyle. It's
Hmm.
been one of the challenges I've had to fight. But the dietary guidelines, I mean, no, she was allowed to eat a lot of fruit, a lot of muffins, and all of that stuff was okay. But what's a muffin? Um, a made to look healthy cupcake, right?
Yeah.
Basically, made to look healthy cupcake. And carbohydrate content was still too high. And what were they told to do? 3 meals and 3 snacks a day. Now, that will destroy the healthiest individual's metabolism, let alone that of a perimenopausal, menopausal woman. 3 meals, 3 snacks with insulin resistance issues. You're like forcing your body to continue to be more insulin resistant. I mean, it is insane. So, from this time, from her diagnosis, from the epigenetics that she had, from the interventions that were piled on to her, one medication to treat another, then medication after medication to treat symptoms and side effects and complications, and then passing away, undergoing a surgery she wasn't actually a candidate for, according to these records. She underwent aortic valve replacement and never made it out of surgery. Now, I was a resident at Emory. They should have communicated. It's something we talk about,
Yeah.
informed consent. Like, you know, what is
Hmm.
informed consent? And you really have to ask questions. If you're not feeling that you have the ability, the hospitality to ask questions and get answers from your medical providers, facilities, insurance, whatever, you keep looking. You keep looking. You are the best advocate for your health.
Yeah,
You are the
absolutely.
best advocate. And that's where I want people to be empowered. That's why I do what I do. That's why we do
Mhm.
magic menopause for 8 weeks. And we just
Mhm.
had a patient in my office just this last week. And she said, she came in crying. She goes, she was transformed and she'd been to Baylor physicians, to Southwest, UT Southwest
Mhm.
physicians, some of the best physicians, and just had been operated on, and then told, oh, well, that's it. Sorry, we did everything we can do as a gynecologist. So off you go. And thankfully, she found magic menopause. She found actually Will Cole, then found magic menopause. So Dr. Will Cole was amazing.
We love
So
them.
found Will, found me, and did magic menopause. And she's felt better than she had in 20 years. And she's young. So 47, young 47. So there's so much hope, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard
I
because
know.
we share these genetics of my mom,
Mhm.
right? And we think, okay, what can I do? And I've shared and I share
Yeah.
I just been sharing. I
She's
can't believe my
her
hair loss.
story is the reason why you went into the path that you did to become the physician that you are. And then even when you went through early menopause, then all your colleagues told you, oh, there's nothing you can do. You knew that was not the path because people already told your mom that, you know, that what she had to take these. But there's so many individuals that we see within our communities too that are telling you that, they don't know the answer because their doctors are fear mongering them, where it's like, you
Well,
have
it's
to
not the
take this.
doctors, but it's also
Well,
the strong arm of insurance and pharma.
absolutely,
I
but it's
mean,
those who follow that plan, those who don't really care. They know what they know from their education through what they need to sell as well, that you need to take this medication. But who are the patients to counteract to argue with what their physicians, what they're telling them, what they're guiding them, because those are the individuals with that education. But when they're using their education to almost manipulate other people, that you need to take this, you're trusting them. You're trusting them with your life, with your body, with your future. And that's like the thing that's the hardest that we see. And that is where we get so much waterworks through your programs, because you're teaching these individuals to become the CEOs of their own body, to know what they are putting in their body, to know the reactions, and then then that's when we hear when they're like advocating themselves to their physicians, because like, oh,
yeah,
I did this test for myself and I'm taking this is how my body's feeling. And then they actually get a better turnaround
mhm,
with their visit,
yeah.
because they're coming in informed, and then their doctor wants to actually have that conversation even further to see, okay, you're following your guidelines, you're pushing even beyond, let me actually see where I can help. And then that's where they also feel they're educating themselves even further, because even medical physicians have to take a medical board every year. There's so much to learn, but there's not just one right way.
There's
We're
not one
all
right way. And like you said, that's
beautiful.
like we have to feel empowered and we have to do our Nancy Drew detective work or be our
Put your
medical
hat on.
detective. Put a right Nancy Drew hat on is what I love to say. And I think this is where we have to advocate for ourselves. Because even, with me, uh, there's a saying at Emory that says the eyes don't see what the mind don't know. We learned that as surgical residents in the first year, because if you don't know that there can be, for example, a defect in the perivaginal tissue, you're not looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the eyes don't see what the mind don't know. And that's so true for us as physicians. And I constantly am learning on a daily basis and learning from my patients and their experience as well. There's so much, but I will tell you that there are 3 questions you should ask, especially if you're on more than one prescription medication that's not bioidentical, even if it is, and look at these questions. What research is there on these two medications together in a person of my age and gender? Okay, because studies on women are very rare. And even when they're doing animal models, they're using male mice. They're using
Rice.
male mice. And then the second question you should ask, what is the third generation data that you have on this medication? So what does that mean? So third generation, so I'm first generation study taking this medication. And then what's my second generation? Amira, what's the effect on her? First of all, ask what's the second generation data on this medication? What effects does taking this in my reproductive years have on a child? And then what about her child? Because now we know there are endocrine disruptors and hormones and toxicity that are at least through 7 generations. So, how much has polypharma contributed to that? As an OBGYN, when I first studied birth control pills, I thought I was doing a good thing for patients using birth control pills, right? Giving them some freedom. They could regulate their periods, decrease the pain.
Because women need
And
that.
then, I mean, so I didn't have all the data. The companies didn't, and their drug reps that were banging on our doors wasn't giving us all the data, the side effects, the issues. And in fact, I mean, that's a really big problem because it's a hormone disruptor. Birth control
Mm-hmm.
pills, every single one of them are hormone disruptors. And so, what do we need to do about it? How do we support our body to detoxify from these hormone disruptors? What, and when do we use them for the shortest amount of time to help us? Now, when it comes to bioidentical hormones, let me tell you, I'm going to be on progesterone for the rest of my life. It helps my brain, it helps my mood, it helps my memory. I mean, I'm sharp, I'm, inclined to do things. I like my motivation. I like my brain on progesterone. And these are some things that we're going to talk. I know you had questions, so we'll get to those questions. But I did want to share my passion because I saw this morning,
Yeah.
amongst my mother's death certificate, which she died at the young age of 67, having undergone her first heart surgery at 52, being put on one medication after another. And you heard me mention Propulsid and Prilosec. Can I tell you how much, like from my early years of medical practice, understanding, because once my mom passed away, I was a resident at Emory.
Yeah.
And I started questioning everything,
As you should.
everything. I wasn't taking anything at face value anymore. I'm like, what's going on? What's the underlying reasons? What's causing this? What are the side effects? What's the mechanism of action of these drugs? And then I was a researcher and a scientist in physiology before I went to med school. So I was like, I need to understand now because something's wrong here. But 14, 15 medications. Can you believe it? No two of these studied together in any one individual, let alone a
Yeah.
menopausal or postmenopausal
It's
female.
really
It's
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. But now a couple of these medications, Propulsid and Prilosec, I did podcasts and I've written blogs on this way in the past about gastroesophageal reflux disease. And, and sometimes it's, I mean, there's so many reasons for it, but in the PDR, it says you should not take it more than maximum 8 weeks at any one time. Mom, and I had a patient in my practice yesterday that has been on, was on similar medication. She was on Propulsid and Nexium for years. And through just, when did she start working with me? Beginning of July, before I went on my Camino de Santiago, and have her working with our nutritionist health coach, and she's completely off all her digestive medications, completely off all of these antacid slash gastroesophageal reflux medications. So H2 blockers, etc. So when
Amazing.
I see this, when I look at that and I think, oh my God, well, there's so much more that I'm not going to get into today, but these medications decrease your absorption of nutrients, can continue to increase issues with your immune system, with your, I mean, there's hormone imbalance, inflammation, increasing inflammation, etc. So, I continue to learn a lot in this, and I want to inspire you to feel empowered, to take one next right step
Mm-hmm.
after another and ask your questions.
Yeah.
Ask your questions. And if we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know. And we'll
And
keep looking and getting the answer. What's right for you? You're unique. What is right
mhm.
for you?
Yeah.
And what's safe for you and what's going to give you the long-term benefits. And definitely there's some stuff that we're not sure long-term on because we're doing it for the first time in history long-term for many of us. But we look at the risk and benefits, the indications and contraindications, and how you feel about it and give you the best information that we have to date.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm going to do today in this
Exactly.
podcast.
I know everyone who submitted a question, who commented on the episode, you are doing that right now. You are taking that next step to knowing more about yourself and And know that this is not medical advice from Dr. Anna. This is us just trying to provide the best information
Thank you for
for
covering
you. Yeah, disclaimer right
CYA. That's
here.
so good.
So, all right, Dr. Anna, you want to get
Yeah,
into some of
let's
these
get into it.
questions? All right. So, on our previous one, we just kind of went in bullet point, but I'm going to read off the person's question so there it's also their story and what's going on. So,
Say their first name.
okay. We have Catherine. She has been postmenopausal for about 8 years and has been dealing with hair shedding for about 2 years. With a noticeable difference, she's not taking HRT, but she is trying Nutrafol with no noticeable results. Any advice for this problem?
Yeah, yeah,
Any
definitely.
information?
Yeah, thank you. It's always nice when you have a two-way conversation, you can ask more questions, but there are so many issues. When did the hair loss has been shedding for 2 years. We don't know her age per se, but she's been postmenopausal for 8 years. So that's important information.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding that, but there can be many reasons for hair loss. If you've seen my pictures, and I shared because we were doing some talking about hair loss in December on our blog and newsletter, if you saw my pictures where I had hair loss basically to here, I had when I pulled my hair back, there was no hair till about here. I mean, gosh, when I look at those pictures now, I think, and I share that picture because now I can look and say, gosh, that was a blessing. And you may think, oh, what? That hair loss? Are you crazy? I mean, it looks scary. I mean, scary pictures. My ponytail was down to a little tiny ponytail where I have really thick hair, right? And even now, as I feel this, like even half my hair was
It's
thicker
all
than my
real.
hair. Right, was thicker than my hair back there. But I remember like
Mm-hmm.
putting a comb through my hair and being afraid that I'm just going to be pulling out, afraid to brush, afraid to pull back my hair, afraid
Yeah.
to anything because I was losing so much hair. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really was scary. And I'm realizing, what did I know as a physician at the time? This is in the 1990s, early
Mm-hmm.
2000s. And it's thyroid. Okay, with not thyroid. Nutrient deficiency, biotin, vitamin D, B vitamins, and nope, that was fine. It was, and hormones were fine, but what was happening, a hormone we weren't testing was dihydrotestosterone. Even so, it's very label in the blood, and we don't, at that point, we didn't really have sensitive tests to look at that in women because it's so much a fraction of what the tests were designed for, looking at DHT in men. Let me go a little deeper into that. For example, when in the 1990s and early 2000, when I did testosterone levels on women, it would come back as 0 and be read as normal. I had a 63-year-old patient that I did that with. It was 0 and was read as normal because it was normal for postmenopausal women to have no testosterone. That was based on the testing. And then we went to LCMS, which is liquid chromatography mass spectrometry, which could read lower results in women with this testing. So the type of testing we were doing and the type of testing we ordered had to shift in order to understand women's hormones at the time. And anyway, so with dihydrotestosterone. So what was happening for me? I had such PTSD, and with that, creating such insomnia, and cortisol increases an enzyme called 5 alpha reductase. And that 5 alpha reductase converts testosterone to its very potent active male form called dihydrotestosterone. And that will cause that male pattern hair loss. So when I pulled back my hair and I had that male, you've seen guys with a little bit up top and no hair on the sides, or no hair up top and a little bit on the sides. It's androgenic balding. And so I started using, supplements, stress relief. There's not just one thing to help. And we need to do, that's why I encourage my magic menopause program, or read my book, The Hormone Fix.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to it. It's a good audiobook. It's a really good audiobook.
As
So,
said in the last one, yeah, I know. So,
and
that's a go
And
ahead.
then
Sorry.
zinc
Mm-hmm.
supplementation. Zinc, biotin, optimize your vitamin D level, your nutrition, nutrients, optimize your sleep. I use Mighty Maca Plus as a foundation. So MMP, Mighty Maca Plus as a foundational supplement in our patients, and then progesterone, and then optimize hormones from there. And I'm not looking for levels of a 30. I want to optimize hormones that are right for you
Mm-hmm.
and not suppress what your body is designed to produce naturally. And in postmenopause, we're still producing hormones. So we don't want to
Mhm.
interfere with that. We want to support it. And I say we want to replenish. We want to do hormone replenishment,
Mhm.
not replacement.
I know. I remember whenever we would go stay at dad's for the weekend or whenever, you would always be like, Troy, make sure they have their oils for their hair. They're eating this because you experience that. You don't want us to experience any hair loss or any trauma in that, especially at a young age. So just making sure you're like, all right, put this at the ends of their hair, make sure they're good. And
Well, and
that
fish
was always,
oils for
mm-hmm.
attention and all that good stuff.
All our
Yeah.
supplements, you
And
always
plus,
made
we all
sure.
had stress and trauma.
Absolutely. So making sure our bodies were well fed
Mm.
was something important. So kind
And
of,
staying away from the,
mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, that reminds me. So
Oh god.
remember when we were traveling around the world, you were
Mm-hmm.
little, you were 6, 7 years old. But before we left, I mean, you had such respiratory infections. You were always getting, bronchitis,
Mm-hmm.
pharyngitis, sinusitis. You were always getting infections, right? Sinus infections, etc. And we were worried that we would need to take your tonsils out at some point. And this is as I was really then just very early in my functional medicine education. So I was trying not to keep giving you antibiotics, but you'd been on several rounds of antibiotics. And
Mm-hmm.
then, uh, our trauma happened and we went on our journey around the world. And um, you didn't get sick once. You didn't get sick once, not one time. And we lived in some of we stayed in some of the poorest areas of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then we came back. We were back after a year of traveling. After a year of traveling, we came back and you got a sinus
I
infection.
feel like that's still apparent today where anytime I travel, my body's like, yeah, let's go. And then when I come home and I'm like stagnant for a moment, then I have nosebleeds, I get sinus, it's inflammation.
You have mold in your apartment, Amira.
I swear I don't though. I'm using the Jasper, which is an air purifier, air filter, getting out all the toxins and will let me know if there's any mold. And I'm always in the excellent of air quality until I cook or light a candle, an incense or something, and I need to do the mold test.
You need to do the mold test
But
because
I am
that's an
renewing
all
my
apartment
lease.
building. Test for mold before you renew your
I
lease.
know, but the price is so good in the area.
See, I wonder why. Your health is worth a lot more, right?
It is. It is. I will
Yeah.
get it tested before I renew.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. All right, what's the next question?
Next question is basically what we had just talked about, but I want to read her comment. I have seen Dr. Anna talk about hair loss and have seen photos of how her hairline was in the past. And what did she do to have this amazing hair that she has now? Is it just her hair mask? Was it balancing her hormones? I'm 50 years old and losing so much hair and am desperate for a solution. Not sure what might help. So if you listen to the response that Dr. Anna had for the question before, that will is
That will
kind of her
definitely help.
story of how it was not just one thing, there were multiple things, into giving her the voluptuous, what's the word?
Voluptuous hair,
Volume and
voluminous.
it's a hard word, okay? Hair that you have today.
SMU graduate right here.
Why
All
do you
right.
always have to throw that in?
Okay. So one of the things is though I will say because I'm very sensitive to hair loss because I know how bad it got for me before. And when I look at the hair in my hairbrush, like what's happening? Am I losing hair? I remember where I was afraid to, like I said, put a comb through my hair, brush my hair hard. And because I was losing so much hair, it was chunks coming out. And I know patients have felt the same way. And clients have brought in handfuls of their hair that they're losing in the shower and say, this is different. Please help me. And I completely hear that. So there's always more than one thing. You've got to heal the gut. You've got to decrease inflammation. You have to reset your circadian rhythm and heal your physiology over time. That's going to make a huge difference. You will empower your physiology over time in this way. So following the Keto Green 16, go through hormone fix, decrease hormone disruptors, look at the chemicals you're using on your head, in your makeup, in your environment. All of these pieces, I call them spokes on the wheel, have to be addressed. So head to toe addressing of these issues. Haha, no pun intended. Anyway, so when we think of that, it's our mindset, focus on the good hair that we do have, focus on our nutrition, optimizing our supplements that can support hair growth. So my hair, nail, and skin formula is an excellent supplement. Mighty Maca is foundational, MMP plus foundational. I'm calling it, so going from Mighty Maca Plus to MMP for my Mighty Maca formula. So MMP is foundational for my clients, adaptogenic, detoxifying, very supportive, again, too, for the hair as well, and decreasing inflammation in your body. You have to also decrease the toxins you're exposing yourself to. So that's part of it too. The other piece with hair loss is fungal, can be candidiasis, fungal infections, heavy metals, toxins can all contribute to hair loss. So a detoxification regimen. So beyond the hair, skin, and nails, then if we need to add, of course, again, foundational MMP, follow Keto Green nutrition and lifestyle. Add in zinc for that stress related hair loss. My Amazing is there for a reason. I mean, these are products I use on a regular basis. The progesterone, optimizing our progesterone, perimenopause and postmenopause, as well as postpartum, supportive of hair, healthy hair. And try to think what else. So at least those are pretty good number of steps to get started with. And then we fine tune from there even more. Do we need PRP? Do we need stem cells? What else can we do to help support you? Red light scalp therapy, very benign. It's so much less expensive than it was a decade ago. So red light scalp therapy, I keep thinking, I've seen my friend Dr. Tony Yoon, MD. He had that advertisement for the red light
Yeah.
mask. I'm like, oh, Thursage has a red light mask. We have to compare their technology. We will get back to you on that. But anyway, if you're using it for your face, you can use it for your hair. There's no reason
Mhm.
not. Then there's the advanced technology with small stem cells. They call them very small stem cells and exosomes, peptides, different therapies that we can do from there. You got to do the basics first, or you'll continue to just come back again. You'll have
Mhm.
the issue again and again and again. So you got to heal physiology, remove the toxins, support your nutrient, heal the cell membrane. Everything that I've learned to do from my mom's story onward is to go to the smallest cellular changes that we can improve on. And that creates a cascade of improvements all throughout the body. All of these, when I really need to do a separate episode just on this. If you guys are interested in me doing a separate episode on Polypharm and just kind of following through the life story of medication, not just that I saw my mother go through stepwise through a lifetime,
Mhm.
but I see clients go through.
Yeah. I
I will
know.
do
And
that. Let me know. Let Amira know. Amira at drannakabeca.com.
okay. And also, there were so many questions that were submitted, and we chose a few great ones. And this is another question about hair loss, but in her experience. So you can be experiencing these symptoms on everyone is doing a different regimen. But knowing that you are heard, and as your mom wasn't heard and you were not at that level of your education to be able to advocate further for her beyond what you were already advocating for her. So this is, providing other moms and daughters and to be able to advocate for them, and it's beautiful. Okay, so this person is she said, I have been experiencing significant hair loss shedding for about 3 months now, and I'm getting scared because it's not stopping. I've lost at least half of my hair at this point. It is coming out evenly. There are no bald spots or patches. I'm 54 and probably went through menopause about 2 to 4 years ago. I had an IUD in until 2 years ago, so I'm not exactly sure when. I did not notice that 2 to 3 years ago, my normal hair shedding had stopped. I literally was not losing any hair on a regular basis, and I definitely used to. So this was a change. She thought it was because of she was doing high intakes of collagen and hair supplements, so thought they were being very effective. She went on HRT 6 months ago, estradiol patch at 0.05, and 100 milligrams of oral progesterone. This started happening, I'd say, about 3 months into HRT. Someone mentioned to me that it could be the progesterone, but I know I need to take that along with estrogen. I had my blood work done and everything came back fine. I would really greatly appreciate any information that Dr. Anna could provide.
Yeah. So with, I don't know what kind of IUD she was on. I'm
Yeah, I
assuming
don't
it was
know.
a progestin IUD versus a non-hormonal IUD, such as the Paragard or Copper T IUD for birth control or for bleeding issues. Why was she on the IUD? It's important to know because we want to understand what brought her here? What's her story? What's the history? What's the history of antibiotic use? Um, Vaccination history? Post-COVID hair loss is a real thing. So we are very aggressive about correcting those issues.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll look at we've kind of hit on all the topics for hair loss, the key foundational. And here we would need to, start with the basics, do a good healthy detox, keto green detox, add a good B vitamin with minerals. So the hair, nail, and skin formula is going to cover you for good hair nutrients, and the mighty maca for detoxifying and super antioxidants. So that will really help. And then eliminate the toxins. Now, if they were on a progestin IUD, that is associated with hair loss and weight gain, and it's a hormone disruptor. So we have to, again, work in this way to support you naturally. And it seems like you're on bioidentical estrogen now and bioidentical progesterone now. So that's definitely going to help. But what else is causing this hair loss? Could it be the testosterone conversion to dihydrotestosterone? Adding that zinc, again, in the hair, nail, and skin formula, or
Mm-hmm.
Zinc, separate supplement on my website.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works. Do nutritional testing. There's
Mm-hmm.
key testing. I would say test, don't guess. And I go through advanced testing module in my Magic Menopause program and in chapter 2 of my book, The Hormone Fix. So there's good information on that. But you want to test and not guess. Two, first, always start with healing the gut, start with healthy hormone detox. So keto green detox. And we're kicking that off
Mm-hmm.
in right at the beginning of January too. So hopefully
Yeah.
you're doing that with us right now.
End of December, right after the holidays, we'll be kicking it off.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So that's it's scary though too whenever you're thinking you're on the right path as you just started
Yeah.
HRT and then now it's having significant hair loss.
Because you would think it
So,
would be better. So
yeah.
what's going on? We have to figure
Mhm.
that out. But again, it could be fueling the fire.
Mhm.
And so understanding that. And this is also too, for all of you listening, join my Girlfriend Doctor Club.
Yeah.
This way it can go a little bit deeper into these hot seats, so to
Mhm.
speak.
As well as having anyone else in our community that has gone through a similar
Share their
trying
experiences.
time. So, yeah, all right, we're going to move away from hair loss and thank you all for submitting your question.
And I think we can only take one or two more right now.
One or two more?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is one, it's kind of a two-part that would lead us into further questions. So this could be our final question.
Hmm.
Um, well, I'll read what she said too, because it's a little bit of a rave and then a question.
Oh, we like raves.
Just finished watching parts 1 and 2 of your menopause Q&A with Dr. Anna. I got a lot of great information and would love to see more of both of you together.
That's us right here. That's why we're
Some,
here.
something special about a mother-daughter chemistry. Okay,
Should have
so
seen this earlier though.
hangry, not enough like caffeine or mighty maca, like I haven't seen each other in a month. And then working the balance of working with family is always a trying time.
Mhm.
Trying to find good balance. Okay, so the question is I am 1 year into my postmenopausal journey, age 54, and I wanted to see if you could talk a little bit more about heavy heartbeat slash heartbeat palpitations, causes and treatments. And I've because she's kind of nervous right now as she's coming across more heart palpitations. She's never been one to be excited about taking medications, but this might be something to consider to help me with the palpitations in my interrupted sleep. I've always been lucky to not struggle with falling asleep or staying asleep, but now she's definitely tossing and turning more due to this.
So, like you said, you went through menopause a year ago and now you're struggling with palpitations. Sometimes an early symptom of menopause is palpitations, a regular heartbeat. It's a reason that women end up in the emergency room thinking they're having a heart attack or something is going on and they have the palpitation. So, what's going on here? The hormonal fluctuations, number one, drop in progesterone, number two, deficiencies in magnesium and other nutrients that can affect our heart rate and rhythm. And because of my mom's cardiac history at a young age, I was 16 when she went through her first heart surgery at 52. And I realized then that the research they were basing her study, her heart surgery on, was done on men. And so I started questioning. I said, I'm going to really dig into this, into research and women's health. And that really started a love for cardiology and women's health. And so, there's a great book. And as you're reading this question, um, I thought of this book by Paulo Coelho, one of my favorite authors. Paulo Coelho is a Portuguese writer. He wrote The Alchemist, and it's a very famous book. All my kids have been invited to read it. Amira read it in junior high
I've read it like 3 times.
3 times. It's a great book.
It's great
And
through all phases of life.
one of his other books, and this is a kind of creepy title, but it's Veronica Decides to Die. And it's a really good book. So he writes about this woman who's middle age, 50, and she's having heart palpitations, turning into anxiety attacks. And she gets inpatiented, committed to a psychiatric home, right? So it's her story through this journey. And I'm just like, give her progesterone, give her magnesium. Like, as I'm reading this story, Veronica Decides to Die. But it's a
It's
really
a
good
hard
book.
book for you to read. And
Oh man, yeah. I was like, God, everyone's missing the point here. And to today, in our emergency rooms, you have to understand, if a perimenopausal, menopausal woman is coming in, you got to address her nutrient status. We've got to work on cortisol. We've got to work on the hormonal insufficiencies, and those symptoms often 9 out of 10 times go away. 9 out of 10 times that go away. And so you got to look at the underlying reasons. One of the things that I start clients on, if they're having palpitation, definitely work this up with your cardiologist. We want EKG, CT scan with calcium score. We want, I'm recommending for my private patients, Prevencio heart test. We want these different high level, the cardio IQ or the NMR, depending on which lab you're using. Anyway, very functional cardiac analyses and tests, the EKG, echocardiogram. You want those images. And with that said, then we do magnesium, my Better Brain and Sleep formula. The magnesium L-threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier. I had some extra today because I had a cramp during my workout this morning, my boxing workout I was doing. Um, Mountain climbers hate mountain climbers. And so anyway, I got a cramp and I was like, I better take my extra magnesium. So magnesium, so I took magnesium L-threonate in this case, and then optimizing hormone detox, remove toxins where our body's fighting, competing with other hormone, like hormone disruptors, chemicals that interfere with our body's production. Make sure if you have optimum vitamin D levels, iodine levels, nutritional status, avoid sugars, and manage stress. We can become the peace that surpasses all understanding. We can become the ocean, not the waves, or the eye of the storm. And we, it is definitely our role and our mission. Keep showing up with love and be at home in our bodies that are designed to indicate. And I mentioned earlier when I showed this hair loss picture, if you're watching on video on YouTube, I'm pulling it up on my phone right now because, in my office the other day, I had 3 patients with, or 2 of my patients with hair loss issues in question. So I showed them this picture, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard for me to look at. Can you see that? Oh yeah. How do you?
yeah.
You can see how much hair loss is there, significant hair loss. And again, it was a blessing because it kicked me out of destructive patterns. It made me look deeper. It made me put my detective hat on and fight and struggle and learn a different way. Learn a different way. So each of us is different on our journey. Each of us is unique and has our own path, but is never to give up. It is to lean in. It is to show up with love. And so as we
Yeah.
enter this year and you're setting your intentions for the year's goals, your words of the year, and
Doing
your
your vision board.
feelingizations, vision boards, we're doing that this Friday. And you're getting into what that feels like to be your healthiest, best step, best self. I'm here with you. So thank you, Amira, for being with us on the Girlfriend Doctor Show again. Tell everyone how they can send their questions.
Okay, if you would like to send a question, just subject podcast question, okay? And you can email it to Amira, Amira, at drannacabecca.com, DrAnnaCabeca.com. So be gentle. Of course, we love to hear your raves, your questions, and we review these and choose which ones. And kind of today was just mainly a lot about hair loss and wanted to really cover this question about heart palpitations because we know that's scary.
It's very scary.
And we have some other great questions. I know we did not get to you today, but know that there is another
What are the
episode.
topics of the other questions? Because we'll
Yeah, we
add
have
these to your questions that come in.
we have one more with just sleep disturbances and hormone balances. We kind of covered that. And then we have about testosterone replacements. So bioidentical, is there a peptide? A lady has supplements but is looking for other options to help women and men with testosterone.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's some other
Excellent.
great
Good.
questions. And I know before we came on, so keep submitting your questions, everyone, and we really enjoy hearing what you have to say. And if you love our episode together, and this was kind of a
Let us know because
yeah.
a little strong arm today getting
Ay.
down here.
Hey, it was not. It was a strong room for you as
Just
well.
flew back
Okay,
in, but
I know. I just flew in last night, so it was kind of a hard morning.
like we have a deadline. We're gonna get this done.
Okay.
I'm so glad we did.
I'm glad we did too. I know. And it's crazy that you saw your mom's papers this morning, and Kate created an even more reason to do this episode to talk to other people. But
Doesn't have to be this way. So much could have been different in her
so
medical
much.
care.
I know we
And
have
a lot
of family
to look at these things and say, okay, it's a blessing. And my mom's life and her death, she taught me so much.
Yeah,
I plan to be around a long time to teach you.
I know. I feel like, did I say this on the last episode? You made me sign a contract in crayon that I would have take
care of me when I'm old.
Exactly. You wiped me, I'll wipe you.
Yeah. That's terrible.
I know,
You're gonna have to wipe me. I've got
you're good. You're good. I know exactly. Keep
I don't
following
need
your
anything.
regimen so I don't have to.
Yeah, and when I come to live with you, I will be fully capable to completely have so much fun.
Absolutely. You'll go on a run.
And how many grandchildren will I have from you?
Probably 0 or 12. I don't know. 0 or 12.
All right.
We'll see.
All right, everyone.
Right now, it's
Thank
none.
you for joining us in the Girlfriend Doctor Show. And it is honestly a gift to start this new year out with you, to be with you on your journey, and know that we're here for you. So thank you. Submit your questions to Amira at dranncabeca.com. And please like, subscribe, and share this episode. It makes a huge difference with our ratings and rankings and visibility to others. So God bless you all. Happy New Year. Until next time.
Happy New Year.
Cabeca.
And Amira Bivens. I have to have a sign out too.
You do. What's your sign out?
Many oxytocin moments.
Yes. Many oxytocin moments.
Yeah, wishing many into the holidays. If you could have one gift, that's an oxytocin moment. That's all I can give you.
Thank you. I want oxytocin moment. Just your love and appreciation, my darling. Thank you. Until next time, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Girlfriend Doctor podcast. Check out all the links below for more.